The Supreme Court's ruling in Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka, 1954, marked a pivotal moment in American race relations. This unanimous decision, backed by Thurgood Marshall's arguments for the NAACP, declared that segregated public school facilities were inherently unequal. This ruling directly challenged the systemic racism upheld by previous laws and reinforced the 14th Amendment's guarantee of equal protection under the law. The court's decision was not just legal but a moral stand against discrimination. In Brown v. 1955, the court mandated that public school desegregation proceed with all deliberate speed, signaling a commitment to dismantling segregation. However, this led to massive resistance from Southern whites who opposed integration. The ruling emboldened Black Americans to seek equality in various aspects of life, moving beyond the education system. This legal backing transformed the civil rights movement from passive resistance to active confrontation, illustrating the profound impact of judicial decisions on social movements. By 1963, the civil rights movement adopted more confrontational tactics, such as sit-ins to protest segregation. In Lombard v. Louisiana, 1963, the Warren Court upheld the sit-in strategy by ruling that Black individuals refusing to leave a segregated lunch counter could not be prosecuted if the state was involved in unequal treatment. This case exemplified the growing importance of civil disobedience in the fight for civil rights, affirming the notion that the 14th Amendment protects individuals against state-sanctioned discrimination. The momentum created by the Warren Court's decisions culminated in significant legislative changes, most notably the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This landmark legislation outlawed segregation in public accommodations, including hotels, restaurants, and theaters. The act not only enforced the court's rulings, but also reflected the changing attitudes of American society toward racial equality. This legal framework laid the groundwork for further advances in civil rights, demonstrating the interconnectedness of judicial and legislative actions in achieving social justice. The Warren Court's influence extended beyond civil rights into criminal justice, significantly altering procedural rights in state criminal cases. One landmark case was Mapp v. Ohio, 1961, which established the exclusionary rule. This ruling mandated that evidence obtained in violation of the Fourth Amendment could not be used in state courts, reinforcing the principle that individuals have the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. This decision highlighted the court's role in protecting individual rights against governmental overreach. The Supreme Court's one man, one vote ruling in the early 1960s addressed significant disparities in electoral representation caused by gerrymandering. Prior to 1962, state legislative districts often favored rural areas, leaving urban populations underrepresented. This imbalance meant that votes in sparsely populated regions carried more weight than those in populous cities. The court determined that this violated the 14th Amendment's guarantee of equal protection under the law, compelling states to redraw electoral boundaries for fairer representation. The court's reapportionment decisions provoked widespread backlash, particularly among those who felt disenfranchised by the new rulings. Segregationists resented having to share public spaces with African Americans, while some police felt constrained by new legal standards in handling suspects. Rural voters expressed anger over what they perceived as a loss of their political power. Public sentiment manifested in calls for the impeachment of Chief Justice Earl Warren, and political candidates like Richard Nixon leveraged this discontent during the 1968 campaign. The Warren Court is often regarded as one of the most groundbreaking in U.S. history, actively challenging entrenched societal norms. It dismantled Jim Crow laws, reformed criminal procedure, and altered legislative maps to promote equitable representation. The court's bold decisions reflected a commitment to civil rights and individual liberties, setting significant legal precedents. While it faced immense political pressure, the Warren Court's rulings laid the foundation for ongoing discussions about justice and equality in America. Following the Warren Court, the Burger Court 1969 to 1985 and the current Rehnquist Court exhibited a more conservative approach, sometimes rolling back prior decisions. However, their rulings were not consistently conservative. For example, in the 1978 Baca case, the Berger Court ruled that strict quotas for minority applicants in medical schools violated the Equal Protection Clause. Yet, it upheld affirmative action in the Weber case the following year, demonstrating a complex legal landscape shaped by ongoing debates about race and equality. The Berger Court introduced significant changes in criminal law, particularly concerning evidence and police procedures. In 1984, it established the good faith exception to the Mapp v. Ohio ruling, allowing evidence obtained in violation of the Fourth Amendment to be admissible if the police acted in good faith under a valid warrant. This modification aimed to balance the rights of individuals against the practicalities of law enforcement, reflecting the court's nuanced approach to civil liberties while still addressing public safety concerns. The Rehnquist Court, which followed the Berger Court, approached the Eighth Amendment, prohibiting cruel and unusual punishment, with a more nuanced perspective. The court ruled that capital punishment could be constitutional if applied fairly and consistently. This decision raised debates about what constitutes cruel and unusual punishment, demonstrating the ongoing tension between the desire for justice and the protection of individual rights. The ruling highlighted the complexity of interpreting constitutional protections in a modern context. The Rehnquist Court elicited mixed reactions from conservatives, as some rulings aligned with their principles while others did not. In 1988, the court surprised many by upholding the constitutionality of certain affirmative action programs, which contradicted the Reagan administration's push for a more conservative legal approach. This decision alarmed conservatives who believed it undermined meritocracy and reinforced race-based preferences. Such legal outcomes showcase the unpredictable nature of the court and its role in shaping contemporary political and social landscapes. One of the challenges in evaluating Supreme Court decisions lies in defining what conservative means. This term can refer to the content of decisions, such as affording special treatment to minorities, or to the preservation of existing institutions, like upholding state laws on abortion. For instance, the Rehnquist Court's decisions often showcase this duality, supporting state rights while simultaneously ruling on controversial social issues. Thus, what is labeled as conservative in the media may diverge from the court's intent to uphold the Constitution, as seen in its unanimous decision to overturn a libel award for Reverend Jerry Falwell, which reaffirmed the First Amendment rather than reflecting a clear ideological stance. Despite the transformative impact of its rulings, the Supreme Court is not an omnipotent body. Several institutional and non-institutional checks limit its authority. First, the court hears only a small fraction of the cases presented, meaning many issues remain unresolved at this level. Once a ruling is made, Congress has the power to propose constitutional amendments, like the 16th Amendment, which countered earlier decisions regarding federal income tax. Additionally, the enforcement of the court's decisions often relies on the executive branch, as demonstrated in Eisenhower's deployment of federal troops to enforce desegregation in Little Rock in 1958. This reliance emphasizes the interconnectedness of judicial rulings with executive action and public sentiment, demonstrating that the court's authority is tempered by external forces.